self-care is not selfish. It's actually the biggest part of showing love that you could offer to your family, your friends, and your community.
As women, we nurture and take care of the world. And so it's just so important to make your health, your self-care numero uno. So
get around people who are going where you want to go and who are where you want to be. And that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be in real estate, so I got around people who were doing things in real estate that I wanted to do.
So you might not be able to move things around or change what happened to you, but if you can change the way that you see it and how you're reacting to it, there's a way.
Just do what you have to do. There's no excuse. This morning, I knew that if I didn't get up at 4 in the morning and clear out my emails and do everything that I needed to do.
You don't want the government to dictate or a judge to dictate how your hard-earned sacrifice and wealth gets distributed to your family and your loved ones.
Our culture is embedded in American culture. There are people who come to America and engage in American culture, which is Black culture. So Juneteenth is really about Black culture, and it's about celebrating us, celebrating the different diasporas of Black people, even the dialects.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another day with Juneteenth NYC. My name is Dania Rodney, CEO and founder of Juneteenth NYC, and we are super excited and thankful to have you. It is January, y'all. January, we are kicking it off with our great topics about hair. And last week, our conversation with Tondo Kafele was okay. We had such a great time. We talked about so many things, so many challenges to the hair industry, so many nuances that are happening, especially with the idea of the hair show that he and I and Makiba are producing for February 15th and 16th. It is planning to be really dope. We have some great sponsors that are in the place, and we're still working on bringing on some more. We have some amazing speakers. We're looking forward to that competition, at its height. So today is like no other. We have a barber that we're going to have in this space, and we're going to be talking to about hair on the male side and the female side, because females get their haircuts too. But there were some conversations that came up that I definitely want to dive into. But before that, I want to introduce to the stage our speaker for today, Mr. Terrah the Barber, with over 15 years of professional barbering and customer service experience. Terrah is more than a barber. He's an educator, a mentor, and cultural shifter. Cultural shifter. I want to learn a little bit more about that, what that means. Born and raised in Queens, moved to NYC area, and it's so funny because we both down in Georgia and we're both from New York, so we love that. Now living in Georgia, he has used barbering as a vehicle for empowerment, economic literacy, and community connections. Terrah is also the host of the Razor Sharp podcast, which I watched last week, where he spotlights barbers, beauty professionals, and industry leaders while pushing real conversations around growth, ownership, pricing, and legacy. So I want to say thank you for joining us, Terrah. I know you have a busy schedule. I know we've been we've been playing phone tag, we've been texting back and forth, but thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to jump right into the conversation. So talk to me. What is a cultural shifter? What exactly does that mean?
Well, first and foremost, let me just say thank you for inviting me on to have this great conversation. Cultural shifter is a person that see things that's in their industry, and they want to change the way that the culture is moving for something that's positive instead of something negative. I've been doing this barbering thing for over 15 years. I've seen the ups and downs in it, and I've seen some things that need to be corrected. So there's conversations that's being had And a lot of times there's underlying issues that we don't know that's going on. But for some reason, people tend to bring the awareness to me and my platform, and I'm able to um, ask these questions or bring these topics up that a lot of people don't want to speak about. And then from there, we're trying to figure out ways to correct it instead of just letting it go on.
I love that, and I think that's so important. I mean, we have the shows, the movies that came out. Queen Latifah did when we talk about like the conversations happen in the barbershops or in the hair salons, right? Where
Mhm.
cultural conversations where we're changing the narrative. I mean, my favorite movie, Coming to America, is like in the barbershop where they change and they having all kinds of conversations and talking about like what's happening in the world. So I totally get that. And I love that you're utilizing your space as a barber to also be what you call a cultural shifter in that conversation. So I want to jump into your topic a little bit. And then I remember what you had talked about with Thando Kafele the other day that really stood out to me. And that was the music, especially because I got music in my background and the
Mhm.
types of music that play inside the barbershop. So I can get into that just yet, but just prefacing so that you know that's where we're going.
Okay.
Um, but do want to start off with the whole like I have two boys, and then my husband, right? So yep, and from New York, we used to go to the barbershop. It used to be like $30 each with a tip, probably about 40. Now we going in and we walking out, we spending more than me getting my hair cut.
Mhm.
So can you talk to us a little bit about what the I guess what the thing like?
So I just feel like the market has corrected itself to a point where there's more conversation about how much money barbers are charging and how much money barbers are making. Since the pandemic, there's been a shift. And what occurred was during the pandemic, when everything was closed, there was barbers and stylists out there that was taking the risk to still be able to cater to their clients that needed to be groomed. And from there, it came to the conversation of, well, I need to be paid more for what I'm doing. So there was barbers and stylists that was going out there during the epidemic um, of of the COVID virus, and they was going out there to provide these services but charging more. So a typical standard haircut used to be $30-$35. Now I got to come to you. There's more things that I got to purchase, like masks and gloves, more sanitary items, so that I can make sure that I'm not contracting the virus or even giving it to my client. So those things came into a factor when it was the price. Now I gotta pack up my tools. I gotta come to you. I gotta be more protected, gloves, masks, all of those things. And then I have to travel back. So we're focusing on wear and tear on vehicles, gas, and time. So it went from a $30 to a $35 haircut to now anywhere from $50 to $100 just around that time to provide a service. Once everything opened back up, the price is up and stuck. We're not going to go back, right? So we're going to go. We're going to continue with that price point and keep it moving forward. And it's only a 1% in the beauty industry right now that is charging a premium price. Every barber out there is not charging $100 for a haircut. There's still places, even in Queens, New York, where I'm from, that's charging $25-$35 a haircut. So there's a barber for every client. There's a price point for every client. It's just that outlets like World Star and all these other platforms are having these conversations about how much barbers are charging, and then that's what's carrying the narrative.
No, I'm definitely I'm experiencing here, which I was feeling like I'm this Georgia, like I'm not I'm not supposed to be I'm not supposed to be hitting that $55-$60 a haircut kind of thing here. I was like, but to your point, when I go back to New York, and it could also be the fact too that in New York City there's a barbershop on every corner. Right. So there are a lot more barbers. So if you start raising your price and everybody else is not doing the same, then people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna go down a block to the next person. So
Yep.
I get that. And that is also that's with any industry. You talked about what needs to happen or what needed to happen when we were in COVID and when people were traveling to individuals' homes and trying to make do in those spaces. What are some costs, so to speak, that people are not necessarily aware of that goes into when someone's getting their hair cut and they're in the salon?
Well, I mean, as far as the main overhead is going to be booth rent, right? So we're going to go anywhere from $100 to $250 to $300 a week, and that's what that private contractor has to pay out just to hold that space. So we talk about just the rent space, and then we talking about tools. Now it is up to us for whatever we want to use. We can go low end or we could go high end, but it just depends on on that person. But on average, tools are ranging anywhere from 150 and up for premium tools that you need to use. I mean, there's shears out there that's $1,000. There's clippers out there that's $200 to $300. There's trimmers out there that's 150 to 275. And then we're talking about things that we need for everyday operation, like cool care, which is our sanitary sprays, our sanitizers and sprays, alcohol, or any other kind of antiseptic to make sure that the client area is clean after the service. And then for most barbers out there, we're using gloves and we're using masks. Now I've been using gloves and masks way before COVID, just because I know of the health issues that can occur to us being servicers that may get these hair follicles and dead skin cells and things of that sort, the debris that's coming off the scalp and and off the face that's just lingering inside the air that we just don't know that we're taking in. So it came a time where I said that I need to set myself differently from other people and to make sure that my health is at its best by making sure that I'm practicing the proper procedures. So those gloves go anywhere from $6 to $12 for a pack of 100. Masks, of course, you can get on Amazon for like $50. Excuse me, for like $10 for like a pack of 50. That should last you some time. But we're ranging, if you just calculate for the low end on a person that's providing the service, they're spending up to $1,500 to $1,800 a month on just those small things, just so that they can provide a service.
Wow, that is definitely and thank you for putting it in perspective because I know people on the outside they're like, oh, you just cutting hair and taking some alcohol and wiping it off and then going to the next person. And it's like, what do you all that money you pocketing and you putting in your own pocket kind of thing. And it's like,
Hmm.
there's so many things that go into a craft. And what you didn't talk about, which I would love for you to be able, is the education behind it, like and practice, like yeah, a lot of times that is what you're paying for. When I tell people you pay for a teacher, a coach, a professor, like you go into those different spaces, you're paying for their experience, all of the years that the time that they put into doing research and perfecting their craft and stuff like that. So when you talk to us a little bit about the education behind barbering and how you have seen people increase from just, I guess, barber school to like really studying the crafts, and what are ways that people can study the craft?
Yeah, so we're gonna go from if you're in New York State, which is just 500 hours compared to other states that can do it from 1,500 to hours. And in most states, barbers and stylists and beauticians have to do more hours of training and practical learning than a person that's trying to be on the police force. So they were factoring the amount of hours, 500 to anywhere to 16 to 1,700. We're talking about anywhere from $2,500 to anywhere to $20,000 just to pay for that education. Then once you complete the hours that's required, then you have to pay to take your practical and to take your written test. You have to complete all the hours, then go for the test, pass the test, and now you'll be able to practice in in a safe place where you're able to provide a service. That's either a barbershop, a salon, or a private space. But even after that, you're still not a master. They say you got to do it 10,000 hours to master anything. But after that, you're just learning the fundamentals in the safety precautions and to say that you have reached the requirement of the amount of hours. But then after that, now it's on the job training. That's then you're going to be learning. So after the barber school and paying out all of this money, and some people still still have to pay money afterwards. Really focus on continuing education. Me being in the industry for over 15 years, I still do continuing education every single year. That's just a requirement to keep my license active. And also, with so many new things that's coming up with micropigmentation, when it comes to different facial procedures and other things that the barbers are taking from the esthetician world and the cosmetology world, and we just try to intertwine. So we're always continuing learning something new that's going to bring more revenue to our everyday services.
Wow, I'm not gonna front. You just blew my mind just now. Like what? Like 1,500, 1,500 hours.
Yep.
Um, I'm like, is it that much information to learn? But I guess it is if you really want to understand and go deep. I mean, it's the same. I mean, I had my balloon business when I first got started, and I was doing that for it was like 200 hours. And people was like, what do you mean? All you do is take some balloons, you blow it up, and you put it together. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to talk about the color, you got to talk about the density, the external weather, like how that affects it. Like there's so many things that we have to go into. And I imagine for here, you have so many more of that as well because you're talking about people, and just as many people is how many differences you're going to find with being able to cut individuals' hairs.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that and even just going into that education. And I think part of that too is some of those costs that we don't really see, right? Like some of that money has to go back to paying for the education, just like when you go to school and you get a degree. Now you got a student loan that you got to continue to pay back. So it's like, is your end result going to help you to pay for the former position?
Mhm.
Um, so I want to pivot a little bit and talk about the music and the environment, the culture that is the barbershops, right? Because as a mom going into the barbershops, I absolutely despised going into the barbershops. And I was so glad when my older son, got old enough, I would literally like go inside. I would see who was there. I would tell them, look, I'm paying for it. And then they would sit inside and I would go sit in the car because I
Mhm.
just could not deal with the rhetoric that was in there. And sometimes even music was playing that had plenty of curses and all kind of stuff in it. And this was when I was taking my kids when they were really young. Like that became a real challenge for me because I don't curse. We don't curse in my house, so at least we try not to, at the very least. And especially not around the kids. That's the whole goal for me, like to raise them up as I would like them to go. But then to go into spaces like that they had to go into, and we had to go every week or every other week to get their hair cut, and it's like, yeah, this is the culture in here. Or they talking about girls or who they done smashed or what they did last week at the club. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, can we change this topic? So
Mhm.
talk to me about, I guess, what, and again, like I said, this has been a part of the culture for years or different cultures. And what have you seen, or have you seen a change in the dynamics of what that looks like, and why?
So we're gonna go first on the fact of the matter is that the lack of professionalism that's been going on in the barbershops for over 2 decades, and the owners not taking on the responsibilities of actually being leaders, not just pillars of the community, but leaders within a four walls. And it come a time where the majority of those owners just were people that probably didn't have a license, and they was just in the shops hiding from the state board, hiding from the Department of Health, and just was trying to provide a s- a lifestyle, a way of making income. So then they say if you build it, they will come. So they built something without knowing the professionalism that goes behind it, and that stemmed from them to the other people that they bring on board, and it was just a domino effect of every single barbershop. And there was a few here and there that didn't want that seen something wrong and wanted to change it. But again, throughout the urban communities, we had that. for so many years. Now we could go back to the 50s, 60s, and 70s when it wasn't like that, right? But then I feel like once we get closer to the 80s, 90s, and in these urban areas, there's more of a lack of intelligence, there's lack of business savvy, and there's lack of really respecting those that's being patriots of your establishment. So that's what happened. The professionalism was out the window because barbering was always treated as a hustle. Now we're in 2026, and there's more barbers and owners out there that's pushing the envelope a little bit further. That want professionalism. That want everybody to be clean cut. That wants the atmosphere to be acceptable for everybody, and they're catering to not just the male and the father and son, but they're also catering to the women that want to come into the establishment.
Uh-oh. So thank you for bringing in the female aspect as well, and yeah, the lack of professionalism. I mean, just like you said, call a spade what it is, and chase it. Um, because some people felt like this was not a space for them. I felt like more females also got into the industry because they were like, I no, I want to do, I want to make sure my child's here, my son's here is taken care of. So I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna just do it for other ladies as well. And then you have now some of the salons that were doing haircuts. Was that seen as a contentious moment? Do you think for the barber community, or was it something like, oh, let's figure out how to collaborate?
I just feel like, like you said, there was moms that just felt like, they don't want their child to be in that atmosphere, so they take it upon themselves to go out and either get some carnet clippers from Walmart, start practicing these things, and then that became something that they was more interested in, that they wanted to further that, bettering themselves and maybe even taking on barbering as a profession. And from there, because I interview a lot of people on my podcast, Radio Sharp podcast, and I speak to a lot of females that's in the barber industry now and what got them into it. And a lot of times it may be somebody that has sparked the interest in them, somebody that they've seen, or just the majority of them stories is that they started in the salon. Either their mother or their grandmother, they would just go to the salons, but then that pushed them towards seeing other things and going to barber shows or or having children of their own, and then taking their children to the barbershop and say, you know what, I like what they got going on here, and maybe I can do it. So that just sparked a whole movement of women that wanted to be in the barber industry, which was good because we need that. We need to have a difference of opinion. We need to have a difference of perspective, and there's nothing like a woman's touch. And I've worked in almost and the three barbershops that I've been in, I've only worked in one barbershop that had women barbers in it. And I felt the difference from holiday time when they want to decorate to just making the place to smell better and look better. It was aesthetically pleasing, and they're more nurturing. And then that made us want to do better also. So I feel the dynamic changed the way things was moving in the barbershop. You had to speak a little bit differently. You wanted to be more respectful. And you're not gonna talk crazy in front of your mother, and you're gonna treat these women the same way. So I think it it helped the culture of barbering when we got more women barbers involved.
Like diversity, there we go. Diversity stand up, right? We see we even in our own culture, we have to have levels of diversity put in place um, so that we can homogenize it in a more respectful manner. So I like what I'm hearing, and definitely appreciate the fact that there were females in the industry that came in and they helped to change the game and make it a little bit more easier for moms like myself to kind of stomach the environments, right? So I
Hmm.
want to change gears a little bit, want to learn a little bit more about you and your platform. You just talked about the Razor Sharp podcast. So
Hmm.
share with us a little bit why did you start the Razor Sharp podcast?
So Radio Sharp Podcast is a podcast that catered to the young and old generation of barbers and stylists. It is the place where we bridge the gap, and is a barber beauty and lifestyle podcast that we started off with just having conversations about things that's going on in the barber industry and in the barber shop, and then it started to grow into something more when we're having great conversations about things that we want to change in the industry. So what I do is for over 15 years I've been highlighting different hair shows. Any hair show that occurs, small or big, I take it upon myself to go out there to see what's going on, highlight it for those that couldn't make it to those events. And while me doing so, I was able to interview a lot of um very important people and meet new people and just get their story. So that started, and then I would continue to stay in the barber industry, doing these interviews and doing these shows. But roughly around 2025 is when the Razor Sharp podcast started. But before that, I was already doing the same kind of format. I've been doing video editing for over 10 years. One of my OG barbers by the name of Kamar Nuru, from Levels Barbershop in Harlem, he had a platform which was called Barber World TV. And he started the barber battles in New York City. He was highlighting all of these different hair events like the Bronner Brothers and Proud Lady, and interviewing a bunch of barbers and stylists and giving us a understanding of who they are and what they bring to the industry. So once he stopped doing that, I just felt like I needed to take the baton and keep it going because it was needed in the barber industry. So from Barber World TV to now Razor Sharp Podcast, it's just the second installment of what's needed for the barber industry to bridge the gap.
So since you brought us up, um, we're doing our show that's coming up in February with Tanda Kafale, the African
Mhm.
Intelligence Hair Show, right? So talk to me a little bit about what are your thoughts about going virtual? Like, I know that was something that we kind of had to do during COVID, and now um, times are also changing, and we have all of these challenges. Inflation is going up on everything, right? And it becomes not affordable for people to be able to participate, although they want to get their craft out there. Can
Mhm.
you share your thoughts about the African Intelligence Hair Show?
Well, I'm so excited, one, to be invited to be a part of it, to just make sure that people are aware of what's about to occur in February, and that it's going to be virtual. So, like I said, I go to all these different hair shows. I already have my calendar for the whole excuse me, for the whole year of 2026, and it's very lengthy of all of these events that I got to go to, and it's very costly. And I know that the conversation that's in the industry that not enough black people are not going to these events, and one of the reasons why is because it costs so much. So this being an event that they can have at their fingertips, and then after that, it's going to be available for them for 6 months to go back in to watch these different classes to really pinpoint the thing that they need to learn, to see who's on the, who's having conversation, looking at the barber battle, and seeing who was and who became the top competitor and won the trophy. It's just so many things that I see from the actual in person shows that I go to. And because everything go by so quickly that you're not able to really enjoy it, there's a barber battle here, there's an education there, there's people selling products there, and then by the time you go, it go from 10 to 8 p.m., and you really got not that much stuff, but some you done consumed a whole bunch of alcohol, you done spend a whole bunch of money, and you really didn't really get to enjoy yourself to the magnitude that you thought you was going to be able to do. The majority of the time that I go to class, that I go to these events, I miss out on the educational classes because there's so many different barber battles and just networking going on. So with the AI natural hair show for February 15th and 16th, I know that I'm going to be able to take the time to really listen to what the panel discussion is all about. Pay attention to all of the classes that I know I need, like to focus on the natural hair, locks, twists, how to keep the scalp in tip top shape, and also seeing who all these people are that's been handpicked to be in the presence of this amazing event. I know that you guys have done your research to who's very vital to really keep the education going, keeping the people aware, and keeping them entertained for 2 days. So I know for a fact that it's going to be what is needed because Tondo don't play. He's the man when it comes to natural hair, and he has no fluff about him, but he's informed of what his people needs, and that's why I stand behind it.
Yeah, I love that. And even just talking about that, how did you connect with Tondo? Was it at a hair show, or what was your initial, I guess, meet and greet with him?
So like I said, I was doing a lot of video editing for Barber World TV, and around that time, Tondo was one of the guests on the Barber World TV podcast. And while I was editing it, I just felt the energy of his interview, and I was like, this. First of all, his demeanor, the way that he speaks, it was just so powerful. I never felt that much positive energy from a person that was speaking about hair. So from there, I've always been a person to watch what he got going on. And my first time actually meeting him was a couple, probably like a year or two ago. And mind you, Barber Road TV, the episode with him was maybe, it had to be at least over 5 years ago. But so for me, just editing that and just being a looker of what he got going on, to actually meeting him when he came down to Georgia for one of the hair shows, I was able to tell him who I was, and that I was a big fan of his. And from that moment, it was always nothing but great energy, and he like embraced me. And then I started to send him things of the episodes a couple weeks ago. Just sending him things because I always go back to those episodes because it was so impactful, and it's things that I need because we're lacking the intelligence of the conversation of here. So I gotta go sometime to the old place to get reminded of the reason why I love what I do. And his episode of Barber Road TV and just the things that he put out there is the things that just keep me fired up. And then so I'm just thankful from that episode to being able to be in his presence, and then seeing how he do things on social media. It just exudes nothing but love and positivity.
Uh, yeah, he definitely does. I mean, I met him. We honored him for our Juneteenth festival last year for our Black King celebration. And at first, I was just like, okay, what kind of, he has this air about him that's like, I'm the bomb. And then when he came, I was just like, yo, you real dope. Like, you are the bomb. Like, like, you're not like an airy kind of a-hole kind of bomb. Like, you're the bomb. Like, you really are a king that's humble, and you care about your people, and you making sure that that we understand more so about who we are and our here and our story, and that it's okay to share it, like all of those things.
Mhm.
And I get that from him, and him encouraging other people to do just that as well, to stand in their truth. So when he told me about you, I was like, all right, if you share, you saying that this the guy, like, I know, he is definitely the truth. And the first thing what happened when I called you, you was telling me about the event that you do. And I would love for you to be able to share a little bit about the event that you do down here in Georgia.
Oh yeah, so we came together. Me, myself, Tony Banks. We have Chop Guard. We have my supply guy ATA, which is Ray Scott, and we have my brother um, Icon E. We came together to create something called Phase and Fellowship, and Phase and Fellowship is a barber mixer that we do every third Monday of the month. That we come together, have great conversation, have finger foods and beverages, and we just bring speakers that we believe are going to be very vital to what people need to further their career and to push themselves further. We have had speakers from barber schools. We've had barbershop owners. We have had people that do life insurance and want to speak about ways to build their credit. And it's just these conversations is needed to one. It's funny. People want to say that they're an entrepreneur, but don't know what it consists of. So we're bringing the information that is needed for you to actually be a thriving entrepreneur, and you're able to really push yourself to your highest heights. So that's what Phase and Fellowship is all about.
That sounds really dope. And sounds really cool. I'm sorry that I missed it, but I do hope that I can make it to the next one for sure.
Mhm.
Is there a cost for people to attend this event, and where does it typically happen? Can you share a little bit about that?
So we're moving towards a membership base soon. We just got all our ducks in a row. We just did 4 consecutive installments starting from September. We did our final one for 2025 in December, and our first one for 2026 is January 19th. So again, we do it every third Monday. So people need to get in now while it's free. Cause once that membership comes, it's going to be one that's not going to be something that's going to break your pockets. But we believe that anything that's free doesn't get really focused on, but when you put some money towards your investment, then you're gonna pay more attention to where your money is going and why. So we want to put a dollar amount on it because it is priceless information, but we always got to put a price on something.
Very true. People do not value things that they are not. I call sweat equity. That sweat equity is not a part of.
Hmm.
I completely understand. You know, we could sit there and we could do platforms and things like this, and it's like where we want to make sure that our community is getting information. But then once you start to cap it, and it's like, oh, you got to pay. Then now people up in the uproar, like, oh, why we got to
Hmm.
pay for stuff like this should be free? Why we gatekeeping and da 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 da? And it's like, it costs money to put these productions together.
Absolutely.
So money has to come from somewhere. So as we're coming towards the end of our session, and it feel like it's going by so fast,
It
I
is.
do want to ask a question about just how you want to pay it forward. Like if you were to pay it forward, and you are definitely doing it. One of our pillars is about education, and so everything that you are talking about, I'm like, yes, yes, I love it. One, you a black brother, and you are screwing information about um, our culture, history, and just talking about together, working together, unity, things that we don't do a lot of. And I'm so big about like our brand is how do we change the narrative about the stories that people have about us to
Hmm.
create our own story that we want them to know about us. So basically, how do we change the narrative? What would you say to up and coming barbers who might be struggling or not really sure about their worth? What would you say to encourage them on this journey?
I just feel like mentorship is very vital. Or off the rip, once you finish school or once you finish your education, you need to find somebody that you want to emulate, that you want to emulate, somebody that you want to copy. There's always a bunch of copycats, but you got to copy the right cat. And a lot of times we really just looking at the glamour and glitz, but not what do they bring to the table and if they built that table or where they just invited. So if you want to go far, you want to find yourself in a room full of people that's smarter than you. You want to be in a room full of people that's doing more than you, and you want people that's going to push you and try to lift you up and not try to bring you down. So it's all about communication and networking, and always being a part of something that's gonna be positive and nothing negative.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. So this is my last question, kind of a two-part, because as we're going into this is 2026, this is the 50th anniversary of Black History Month, which a lot of people are not even aware of.
Mm.
Can you share what Black History Month has meant to you?
So growing up, Black History Month has been repetitive as far as when it comes to the education system and only teaching us about certain people. They teach us about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and people like that. But now with social media and with other people able to put out content, now we're able to really get an understanding of people that may not have been popular but have brought great things to the table. So what Black History mean to me is to just learn one's history of the people, of their people. And as being black people, we really don't know where we come from, right? So we have to have an understanding and start doing our own due diligence to have to learn more about not just where mama come from or where grandmama came from, but where great great grandmother come from, and the people that was in our community come from. And I'm happy to be able to pay attention to more of what's going on with so many people giving information on knowledgeable people that have created things like Wi-Fi or data or the street signs, or things that they don't let us know that a black person has created. And social media has helped us learn so much more. There's a barber by the name of Craig Skills that has taken upon himself for the month of February to not just celebrate black people who have done historical things, but also black barbers. He has coined that phrase, Black Barber Month. So he's intertwining not just a barber, but he's intertwining, because what we don't have is history of a lot of things, but we really don't focus on history of black people. And it shouldn't just be one month. It should be every single day that we're ingesting more information about us as a whole. So we can focus on it for that February, because that's what they told us, right, to do. But us as black people should be so prideful that we are continuing to learn 365 days of who we are and what we bring to the table.
Yeah. So funny. Like I said, I have three children, and my 11-year-old, they were watching some TikTok. I guess the new, he said it's not a fad, but this new, the countdown series. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a countdown about history for us, of 365 days. I said the same thing. I was like, we keep being told. I was like, I'm glad that we have been given this 50 years, right? I don't take anything away from that. But it's like, what's next? Like, okay, we've done 50 years now. Let's continue to push the envelope. And we have been able to get Juneteenth established as well, for African Americans, and to help African Americans have a place, because I feel like I'm a multicultural background, and I'm part Hispanic, part Caribbean, and all of these other backgrounds within me. But my Southern self doesn't feel home. I don't feel at peace. And so that's where me taking the helm in Juneteenth NYC came from, because I was like, I need to create space for African Americans to feel at home in their own home. People from other countries come here and they make it feel home. So it's like, everyone's quick to jump up and got a flag. And I'm like, I go to the parade, I go to Puerto Rican Day parade, they jumping up and having fun, Caribbean parade, this parade, that parade. But when it comes to African American Day parade in Harlem that is had, it's like, oh, who? What's that? When does that happen? Like, we don't know nothing about it. We don't know the dates. We don't know, like, this, that it's irrelevant. Being able to encourage people to learn more about their history. And I learn more about Juneteenth each and every year. The story of Juneteenth, the story of the ending of slavery, like, that story continues to change and evolve. And I'm like, that's something that we have to continue to talk about and to share. So that's what I use my platform to be able to do. And I appreciate people like yourself coming on and being able to share your story, your history, and how you have made a place for us in this world. Any last words before we close out?
I mean, as far as just speaking about Juneteenth, what I want everybody to understand is that let's not make it be more commercialized than really getting our information. When the government say that they're going to give us a day, now they start to give it more fluff to it, right? And then we're having barbecues and everybody's coming together to celebrate. But what we need to do is within the festivities is actually learning the root. Especially like during Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa has went out the window. Like me coming from Queens, New York. I was in Brooklyn, and when I was a young child, I was a part of a martial arts group in Brooklyn, in East New York, that was all black senseis and masters, and they focused on the way of the warrior, of the black warrior. So we spoke the African dialect. They was teaching us these things. They would teach us Kwanzaa. We celebrated Kwanzaa and not celebrate Christmas, and that was new to me, because everybody, we got this white jolly man, and we waiting for the Christmas tree, and we getting the gifts. But I was enlightened a little bit more at an early age by being around some black men and black women that was really in tune with their blackness. They was really locked in. I don't know if they was 5%ers first, but I know that they brought more sense of pride and sense of understanding. And I felt like over the time, me getting older, you know, those things got pushed away from me, and then just more things that was going on in my urban community was focused more. But we need to come back together when it comes to Juneteenth and focus on what Juneteenth was really all about. There was people that didn't understand that they was free and they were still working and being harassed and all of these things until they had to drop that gavel and let it be known that you are free. And even when we were free, we didn't know what to do. We still went to work. We still went to master to you know. So now we are really actually consciously free. We're mentally free. We're physically free, and we need to continue to like Juneteenth NYC bringing awareness to what is really all about, and is very needed. New York is totally different than Georgia. New York is like you said, you're in the South, but you don't really feel it that home. When I go to New York, there's so much black power in New York compared to Georgia. We got black money in Georgia, but we don't have that black power in Georgia. In New York, I could feel the blackness, even though it's starting to get, you know, gentrified and starting to be tainted a little bit, but it's still more black power and unity in New York than any other state that I've been to.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, I've only been down here 3 years, so I'm still learning the politics down here and figuring things out. But you're very right. It's still, you know, like I said, you would have thought it's the South, so you know this is where we mostly at. But it's like that migration up north really did a thing, and everyone going up north and kind of fleeing and being in that space and yeah, so the culture down here is people are starting to remigrate back. And so, I mean, I think every other person that I speak to now in Georgia is from New York or from up north somewhere.
Nobody from here. Nobody.
So I'm just glad for that too.
And it's funny you say that, because we migrated from the South to the North, learned what we learned, and did what we did, and now that we coming back down South with our mentality, with our hustle, with our grit. But they don't like that. But I feel like they need
Absolutely
that.
not.
They
Absolutely.
need us to stand tall, to let it be known what we can do. And even though they don't like it, they see how we move and they can appreciate it because we're making things happen.
Absolutely. And they see me coming, it was like, oh, Athenia gonna make it happen. Like, let's get her on. Let's get her in place. So I totally understand. And that's why I said I appreciate being around other New Yorkers to be able to have that same grit. Like we get in spaces and we like, all right, let's do this. Like, you know, we gonna sit here and him haw about it. We gonna make it happen and then keep it moving. And that's what I hear from you coming, what I hear that you have been doing down here. Looking forward to tapping in. We are working on doing a Juneteenth down here. We partnered with the New York Urban League and societies and NAACPs and all of those different groups. Down here it's all about the groups. I've learned that too. So like you got to be tapped into organizations. Up north is kind of like, it's about the clicks, the businesses, and trying to figure things out. So again, like I said, I'm here. Let's continue to link up and let's continue to bring that New York feel down here to Georgia.
No, that we ain't stopping. They stuck with us.
Absolutely. Like we say in Eastern York, we ain't never scared. So let's do what we do. Well, Terrah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and being here with us. I hope you got a lot of this, everyone who joined us. And we hope that you come back next Thursday as we continue our talk and conversation about hair, about black hair, about blackness, and all that we do, and all that we don't know about it as well. And some of the issues, the ish that goes on behind the scenes that we don't talk about. So we're grateful for this platform to be able to talk about it here, and continue to keep. So follow us, like, share, and let us know about topics that you want to hear about in the coming months. All right, everyone. Again, Athenia Rodney, this is Terrah the Barber. Thank you again. Be blessed and much unity in the community. Bye.
Peace out, y'all.
From the roots of tradition to the rise of reconnection. where history meets the heart of Africa. Celebrate freedom, culture, and homecoming. This isn't just a trip, it's a return. The motherland is calling. Will you answer?